Speaking of tragedy all around,
Yes.
new episode of X-Men 97.
Yeah, so this is Tolerance is Extinction Part 2. And obviously it picks up where Part 1 left off, where Magneto goes to the North Pole and disrupts the electromagnetic field of the planet. And now Professor Xavier returns, and now they got to stop Magneto. But they've also got to stop the they don't have to stop the human sentinels, but they have to prevent the so the plan is they got to
They got to
bring it
divide and conquer.
right, yeah, and of course I like how they had the two colored team names, blue and gold.
Yeah, I know that that's a thing that they did a few years back before the Krakoa era. I forget if that was ever explicitly a thing in the comics of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming it's a reference to the colors of their uniforms.
Right.
Yeah, so you got one team going to stop Magneto, and then you got another team that's got to they're going to Bastion to prevent once they get the electromagnetic field back up, then they have to stop Bastion from bringing his human sentinels back online.
Right. Now, the episode opens with Magneto bringing, just really flexing on the X-Men, bringing Asteroid M, his floating space station inside of a huge iron asteroid, down to hover right over the mansion.
Yeah.
And he makes the offer, hey, come join me, and everything will, and give up on your stupid ideas.
Yes, and Rogue and Sunspot take him up on that, which is surprising to see from Rogue. You know,
Yeah. Sunspot, actually, I think it makes a bit of sense because
yeah,
he wasn't. It's actually a case where them not having 20 episodes of him being with the team actually works to their benefit
yeah,
because he kind of tried their thing and he ended up handcuffed and hauled away from his parents' house with them not really objecting too much. Or did his parents even call the anti-mutant police on him?
no, they chased him to his apartment, and then they're like, "Hey, we're being chased by these Sentinels," and then the Sentinels say, "No, we're not trying to harm them. We're here to help them." And
All right, and then the parents let them take them away.
right, yeah,
Yep. So he makes sense for him to be a little bit bitter.
yeah,
Now, Rogue's attitude didn't really jive.
yeah. As Ninja says, uh, he figured the Rogue couldn't be the same when she dropped Trask. Yeah,
Yeah, that is a case that you could make. Is that did she absorb some of Trask's inherent assholeness into herself, assholishness into herself? Because
yeah,
okay, it's one I can kind of see. I can see a world where Rogue loved Gambit. Gambit died. She went on a tear, and things went awfully for her. And she decides that joining up with Magneto makes sense. Like everything is lost. Torch the world. She's
yeah,
actually kind of filling the role that Colossus played in the original Fatal Attraction storyline.
okay,
Because in that storyline, his sister Magic had died, and so that's why he was feeling kind of embittered about Professor Xavier's dream.
mm, okay, yeah,
Uh, the thing is that I don't think they necessarily sold it very well. I also can't see Rogue roasting multiple X-Men the way that she did.
yeah,
I recall her, making fun of Morph for dying.
yeah,
That was kind of uncalled for.
yes, yeah.
Did she also make fun of Jean for dying?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and then be turning into yeah, with the Phoenix thing, yeah.
yeah, like she roasted some X Men hard on the way out. And there was one person in Jester Bell's comments who was like, Well, it could be that Rogue is working with with Professor X as a mole, and it's like, dude, she had so many chances this episode to go, haha.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe a mole for Mystique, but I doubt that either.
Oh yeah, no. Well, Mystique is a non-entity in this show so far,
Yeah, yeah,
but still, it's like you just really want her to not be behaving like this,
right. Yeah,
which I agree is a bit out of character.
yeah, yeah.
So this, I would say that this show as a whole, I'm going to agree with Jester Bell that this show as a whole has not been a good showcase of the Rogue character, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Yeah, she's been doing stuff like completely out of character, and in the whole her whole romance with Magneto was just so weird and creepy, and yeah,
Yeah. It, the way I would put it is that I could see you forcing Rogue into the situation, but you would have needed a lot more episodes. It's
yeah,
kind of like how there's a level where Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, I could conceivably see him being broken that way because that's sort of what happened to Obi-Wan to an extent.
yeah.
If you compare him from the prequels to the sequel or to the original
Original,
trilogy,
yeah,
but you didn't earn it, and you can't just declare it happened off camera.
yeah, yeah. And Ninja says that yeah, like she says you weren't there in front of Nightcrawler, who was there. Yeah, um,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It,
uh,
it was yeah. It just yeah didn't. It,
and for that matter, why would they be there? They were off doing other missions.
yeah.
There was no reason for them to be there. They
Hmm.
had no way of even anticipating a Sentinel attack.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I heard the same thing too, Ninja. That the yeah Bo DeMeo that he had a problem with the episode number.
Yep, it's unfortunate, but I'm gonna quote the longtime sci-fi reviewer SF Debris, where he was talking about how Star Trek Five, they what's his name, Shatner wanted to make it a exploration of man's search for God and other heady issues, and the studio said, "Oh, we want to make it light and comedic because Star Trek Four made so much money,"
Mm.
and he kind of sold them on, "Oh, I can do both."
Yeah.
Uh, this is similar insofar as this is kind of similar insofar as you wanted to do the storyline, but you didn't have enough episodes. You changed the storyline.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And yeah. So like I guess we should get into one of the big spoiler or the big event that happens at the end of the episode.
It, yeah, or well, okay. So I think we've said enough about us feeling like Rogue was out of character and hasn't been well served by this show.
Yeah.
Um, so the two teams split up, and whatever minor critiques I had of the animation in the earlier episodes, they got ironed out by this point because
Yeah.
this is some top tier action animation.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. Yeah. Those yeah all the action and fight scenes in both locations were very well done, and the one team fighting Magneto and Rogue and Sunspot. Yeah, like that was yeah, especially with Magneto's magnetism.
And also they had a fight with Jean Grey versus Mister Sinister in a bowling alley, and they had fun with there being all these things for Jean to throw at him.
Yeah, yeah, she's throwing bowling balls at him, and yeah,
Yeah. At one point, like he gets thrown through the strike zone, and there's the sound of the pins falling down. And
yeah,
uh, also, I think Morph might be low key one of the most powerful members of the team, since
yeah.
dude can just turn into the Hulk and apparently manifest Hulk level strength.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder why he bothered turning into Psylocke in episode 2,
Yeah,
considering he was mostly using her just for sword play.
yeah, yeah,
Like if you could turn into the Hulk, that's your dominant strategy in most situations.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so yes, okay. So we've talked about this before. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Yeah.
Aside from Rogue, this is a good episode that's continuing on with the storylines.
Mhm.
Uh, so up in Asteroid M, they're clashing. Weirdly, Roberto is showing more hesitation and worry about fighting his former friends than Rogue is, which
Yeah.
part of the out of characterness.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, but Professor X attempts to force Magneto to fix the Earth's magnetic field with his telepathy.
Hmm.
Uh, Magneto responds by using his magnetism to force the telepathy blocking helmet onto Charles's head, thus stopping him. And Wolverine goes, F it, and stabs him in the back with his claws.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, it wasn't a killing shot because then Magneto rips him away, and then the classic moment from the comic books, Magneto rips out the adamantium from Wolverine's body.
Yes. I remember I read that I had that comic book at one point. I read through it many times as a kid just because I thought that was such a cool moment where it's
Yeah.
like Magneto finally goes, uh, it's basically, okay, dude, you've been cashing checks you can't cash with me for a long time.
Yeah.
Do you understand what what our power sets are?
Yeah.
He said it in a smarter way than that, of course. But
Yeah.
so now, does this mean we're going to get Neanderthal, noseless, weird looking Wolverine? I don't know. I kind of hope not. That was a weird look.
Yeah, I don't want that. Yeah.
But that does imply that Wolverine is going to get some more focus in the second season
Yes.
because you
Yeah.
can't really, although at the pace that this show resolves things like Rogue or something like Storm losing her powers,
Yeah.
it could be resolved in an episode or two. So that would be kind of a letdown.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Oh
yeah.
well. Uh,
Yeah. Oh well.
uh,
One other thing I do want to point out is that a lot of the characters, they do wear their original costumes.
right, they're '80s costumes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, which that was a cute little thing. I think in Wolverine's case, wasn't it just because his normal costume was totally ripped to shreds?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Ninja mentioned something I forgot. Yeah. Omega Red had a cameo in
Yeah.
episode 8.
Oh, right. When they shut down the world's technology, the
Yeah.
stuff that was keeping Omega Red under wraps suddenly deactivated.
Yeah.
Which that would make sense to bring him in for a season 2 storyline with Wolverine trying to get his adamantium back,
Yeah.
or
Oh,
at least dealing with not having his adamantium.
right. Yeah. And he also points out Rogue wore her first costume as a villain.
That's true.
Yeah.
She with Gambit's jacket over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So lots of visual callbacks, lots of good animation. We kind of harped a bit on Rogue seeming out of character, but I think by and large everybody else was well served in this episode.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Uh, One thing I will point out is that it is supposed to be the year 1997. I don't think they them pronouns were a concept yet. I thought of maybe gender studies academia, and
Yeah.
and it's well it's very progressive of you, Rogue, that even as you're roasting a man for uh, having died once horribly at the hands of and then being revived by Mr. Sinister, that you take the time to respect their pronouns.
Yeah.
That stuck out to me just as a amusing little moment.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Jeez. Yeah.
But so yeah, overall, I still say this show is worth looking into. We mostly
Yeah.
harp on Rogue because we both watched Jester Bell, and Jester Bell has the worst luck with picking characters to identify with between Rogue and Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Yeesh. Well, I can understand Rogue more than Harley Quinn.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't think with Harley Quinn she so much relates to her on a personal level so much as really really enjoys the character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I hope that most people don't relate to really any version of Harley Quinn because they're all kind of awful in their own ways.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah.